3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? This is AJ Capasso here, founder and host of Talking with the Source. Go ahead, you cheeky friend. Tell everyone who you are.
Hey, it's Robin from Paranormal. I'm talking with the source. I'm the guy that looks after him.
Yeah, basically, you annoy me every second of the day. You call
Not
me.
capable of looking after himself.
Yep, you know, the friend that you love but you hate at the same time. I love it.
Nando and Raymond.
Hey, Nando. Hey, Raymond. Thank you for joining us, brothers. Listen, so we have a special co-host with us that should be a host, but he's doing his own thing. I'm proud of him. He's killing it in the paranormal field. Let me bring up from Targeting with JK47 Paranormal, the podcast, the team, John Keyworth, baby.
Vegas! What's up, man?
Excuse me, is Sir Jonathan Keyworth.
Sir Jonathan Keyworth.
Oh, yes.
Well, guys, listen, we have
What's up, fellas? Oh, yeah.
Guys, we have an amazing guest here. It's a total honor to have her on. I am so pumped to have her on. I've been waiting all week for this. Her name is Heather Mattison. She's been appeared on so many different shows, from Death Walker to Most Terrifying with Jason Hawes, with just a ton. Like, I can't even name them all. It's so many.
Kindred Spirits.
Yes, and Kindred Spirits is what I was trying to say, but I totally had a brain fart. But anyway, let's bring her on. Right? Heather Mattison, how are you?
Heather.
Hey. Good. Hello. Hi, guys.
How have you been?
Good. Very busy, getting everything ready for springtime for the beach. So cleaning up outside from the winter. So I'm busy.
Awesome. I actually live in Connecticut, so I know we were talking earlier. You know, a lot of cleanup.
Yeah. Been a rough winter.
Yeah, definitely.
Lots of power outages and other weird things. So it's been strange.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of power outages, before we had you on the show, what happened? We had so many technical difficulties. We couldn't get you to get unmuted. We had to switch, from your computer to your phone. I mean, so you definitely are right. Some electrical stuff happens around you.
No, I think it's just the internet around Connecticut.
Yeah. Anyway, first thing I wanted to ask you, Heather, was when did you find out you had this disability, and was it okay with your parents? I mean, I don't know what your upbringing was, so.
It sort of ran in the family. We were all sort of spiritual anyway. My grandmother used to read tea leaves, things like that. But I never really got into seriously going into the paranormal until I was older. There's 7. Well, there's 8 of us, 7 sisters in the family. But we all have our own gifts. We're all pretty much psychic and have things going on. We've always been sort of in tune to each other. But for me, I could always tell if I walked into a location, went somewhere, I could always sense that something had happened there. I could always feel things. But when I was 21, I had a near-death experience. I drowned at a beach out in Huntington Beach out in California.
Wow.
I was with friends, and we were boogie boarding. And I don't know if you've ever been to the ocean, but I grew up in New York near the Great Lakes, where the waves are only about 2 feet high, so I wasn't used to the big waves.
Yeah.
Boarding, and my friends were all up on the beach, and I decided to go into the water one last time by myself, but there were a ton of people on the beach. It's Huntington Beach, so it's a big surf beach. And I was walking into the shore, had the boogie board attached to my wrist with Velcro, right? So I'm dragging it behind me, and this wave hit me out of nowhere. But I grew up with a school. I'm a good swimmer. We have diving board and all that stuff, but I never got a chance to catch my breath or hold my breath to be in the water. And it took me back in this wave. I felt like I was in a washing machine. It was just tumbling me back, and I was attached to this stupid big styrofoam boogie board thing, and I could not find the bottom, so I couldn't kick to the surface. And I felt like I was in there. It felt like forever. It was probably only a few minutes, but the weird thing was I was realizing I could not get to the surface, and all of a sudden I was watching myself in the water. So it was all white around me, and I'm watching myself flailing, trying to reach the surface, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. I'm sitting there thinking I should be able to see myself. Plus, it was all weird and white around me. Next thing I knew, I was standing on the shore, toe to toe with a guy wearing all black. He had like, the weird thing was, at first I thought it was a wetsuit and that he had pulled me out of the water somehow, but I was standing upright, toe to toe with this person, and he had dress shoes on, black shoes, black pants. And I remember
Wow.
thinking, this is weird, all black though. And it was August, and there were a ton of people. If you Google images of Huntington Beach, it's been on like a lot of movies and stuff. It's a huge, deep beach. People like
Yeah.
roll everything there. Tons and tons of people. It's August. And I'm looking around, and the weird thing was, I remembered he wasn't holding me up. So he wasn't holding me upright. And I didn't have water in my lungs. And I'm like, why? I was so confused. And I remember just looking around. No one was looking at us.
Mm.
No making eye contact with me. And I remember thinking, this is real. Am I dead? First of all, like, what is happening? And then I remember
Yes.
him, I think my friends are worried about me. I should probably go tell them what happened. So I look over, my friends are like 100 yards from me, up on the beach, oblivious to what had just happened. No idea. And I left him and ran over to my friends, and I'm like, you know, guys, I think somebody might have pulled me out of the water. Did you guys see what happened? I'm so confused. And we turn around to look for this guy, and there's nobody on the beach dressed like
Wow.
black. Nobody's even in wetsuits. Because then I'm thinking it must have been a surfer guy. Like maybe somebody took me. It was the weirdest thing. But anyway,
That
after
was
that,
an angel. Yep.
after that happened, I all of a sudden that the rest of the trip was super weird anyway. But I could hear things around people, see things around people, could smell death on people. I was hearing voices. It got
Yeah.
to where it was really freaking me out because it was very vivid. Some things were really clear. I was having crazy dreams, all kinds of stuff. And then tried to push it aside, tried to ignore it, because at that point I wasn't even into anything paranormal or spooky or psychic or anything.
Yeah.
I was sort of a normal person, but then well, never really was a normal.
Yeah.
But then um, tried to ignore it as much as I could, but I still would get things on people all the time, and just know when things were going to happen. And things really kicked up for me when my daughter was about 2, and she started telling me all about how she died and she chose to be with me. Started telling me all about her past life and what she was doing and where she was living and how she died. She told me all about how she died, and then it was like, okay, that's so weird. And I started looking into it a little bit, just online, like reading about past life experiences. This is a long time ago. This is like 25 years ago, but
Yeah.
the trying to like figure out like what is all this, and it was all seeming to tie together. And
Yeah.
then that door. So once I started like exploring that side of it, reincarnation, I started digging into other psychic stuff and putting 2 and 2 together. And then started talking to friends. This all came about with my daughter being reincarnated, and then they were like, "Well, you always know about people anyway." They were saying to me, like, "Why didn't you know about her and all that?" So all this
Yeah.
stuff was going on. Then people were asking me, "Well, what do you get on me?" And then it just so snowballed from there, and I would just goof around, like doing readings for people, and just say, "Well, I feel this and this and this is happening," and then they were bringing their friends to me and saying, "What do you get on this person?" And people I didn't know, and then I would get all this weird information on them, and then it just sort of I started turning it into something that was a little more professional, I suppose. I was trying to hone in on what I was getting on people, that kind of stuff. So
Wow.
basically, that's how it started really coming about for me.
What do you feel when that happens? Like, what is it that you feel? Do you just get like a voice in your head that tells you the information? Do you feel it physically? Like, how does that happen for you?
I'm clear audience, so I'll hear first of all. I made an agreement with my spirit guides a long time ago. Please don't show me things. I don't want to be. I don't want to have 10 people
Yeah.
in front of me
Yeah.
because
That's what me and him were talking about earlier. I'm like, please don't show me them. I don't want to see them. I just
Yeah.
want to hear them.
my guides were agreeing and they were laughing at me, but they're like, yeah, because if you could see what was around you, you'd be totally freaked out. Like you have no idea what's really out there. There's so much around you.
Yeah.
Just daily life around everybody. But when people die, when they've had a near-death experience in particular, your soul, your spirit, and your aura, however you want to word it, is different. It's changed.
Yeah.
When people are sent down from the higher order in reincarnation to Earth, you move in a clockwise motion, so you're being sent down to Earth. And then when you have a near-death experience, you move counterclockwise. You're moving up. The higher order, they sort of have it so that if you're crossing when you're not supposed to in a near-death experience, they'll tell you, okay, not time to cross, and they'll send you back down.
Well,
The
see, AJ, this is what I sent you a text about earlier. Was this professor was talking on TikTok, and you face towards the light because he had a near death experience. You have a choice to either face towards the light and continue reincarnation, or turn around and see the whole universe, and you're free to go wherever you want.
right.
Is that your understanding?
I mean, for me, I mean, I know my guides have told me about you do sign contracts to come down to a certain time. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Say you agree to live to be 80 years old, then you're supposed to be on Earth for that amount of time. That's why
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
why happen. People who commit suicide or they're accidentally killed before their time would have been up. They have to remain earthbound until they would have turned 80, and then they'll cross over. So that's why sometimes when there's been a strange,
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a complete understanding of what I've been told,
Mhm.
from my spirit guide. So
Right, yeah, but so
I,
so I had agreements
I
with them not show me, but I hear, so that it's like I'm on a cell phone. So they're actually really clear. I hear their
right.
voices. They're different. Mm.
Now, going to what you just said about how they'd have to live on their earthly plane for until their time or whatever. My question is I always wondered why we don't get older spirits come through. Like, say, if I went to like the Gladiator Ring in Italy, like how come I won't get someone from the 1700s? Is that the reason? Because they're already did their time, they crossed over. Oh, like, can you explain maybe why that, if you know?
Yeah, they said there's a actual energy span. Your spirit is a blob of energy. You're this ball of
Yeah.
energy into a
Yeah.
different body. Reincarnation. You reincarnate between like 13 and 21 times until you're learning all your lessons. Then you graduate, and then you go into the higher order permanently. But a human spirit is not a very powerful spirit energy source, and it
Hmm.
just for about 250 years. That's why you will not see hauntings for spirits that are older than 250 years or so. That's about the limit, the span. It'd be
Yeah.
actually start to fade. That's why the older spirits are harder to connect with, and they may not be as clear. That's why you get
Okay.
clear EVPs, you get clear paranormal evidence when somebody's recently deceased or something new like that. So there's definitely a time limit. But then there's weird things that happen though, because then you'll have these protective spirits that come in that choose instead of coming in for reincarnation, or if they've already done the reincarnations and gone to the higher order, they can choose to then watch over or monitor places. Like
Hmm.
they were
Okay.
say it was a building or a house, or you can have protector energies that stay into like cemeteries or battlefields,
I
and
was
then
just
they'll
gonna
Hey,
say.
so Mark Foster brought up a good question, and this is something that I always believed is, once you're in tune with spirit, they ask, why does they always speak English? Because that's the most understandable language to you. So if I was a Spanish person doing an investigation, they would be able to speak Spanish to me just the same as they spell English.
Is that true, Heather?
it just depends on well, it's because your spirit is not one region.
Yeah.
Your spirit, if you reincarnate in 18 times, you're going to be all over the planet. So you would have, over your lifespan of your spirit soul center, you would have been all over the planet. So you would have been speaking all different languages. I've done readings for people, though, as a medium as well, because I ask who's around people, I ask them to come in. But I've done readings for people in Argentina and in France and all over the planet, and El Salvador, all sorts of places. But then relatives will come to me and speak in their native tongue to the person I'm reading for. Um,
Hmm.
it's like my guides will almost interpret what they're trying to say, but then they'll give me like, I know it's weird. In France, this one lady kept calling the girl her popette or something, and I don't speak French, so I was just phonetically writing. I'm like, well, this is what it sounds like they're calling you. Like, does that make sense to you? So I'll write it as I'm hearing it, and then I'll say,
Yeah.
so there's certain keywords that they know that the person would understand, and then I try and sort of mangle it in the way I'm hearing it and write it down and then tell them this is what I'm hearing them saying. And then
Yeah.
that sort of tip them off and say this is what they're talking about. But
No, Mark, I'm sorry to bust in, Heather. I just want to say that Mark has a comment. He says, "True, but Chinese is one of the oldest languages. I've encountered different languages, most of them which I cannot speak. But we're on a physical plane where only our physical being can absorb so much, and like you were saying, once we pass on or have the chance to pass on in a past life experience, we're able to absorb the energy that is around the universe. So those past life experiences, absorbing that energy is what causes us to be able to understand things a little clearer than others, you
mm,
know.
Mm.
yeah. Plus, there's differences between ghosts and spirits, which a ghost is earthbound. They haven't crossed over yet. So if you're running into a Chinese spirit, some would say they died in an accident or committed suicide, something weird where they're earthbound, you're not going to be able to understand them
Yeah.
because they'll be sort of stuck in between the two realms, but they'll be primarily earthbound, so they're going to be speaking in their native tongue. So that's why you will get people speaking in foreign languages in the regions that you're in. Spirits, though, crossed over into the higher order, they can come back in a visitation. So because once you die, it's very strange. You have this clarity where your reincarnation stack. It's like a snowball, basically. So every time you live a life, you're learning lessons. It's sort of building on what you've already got going on. You're evolving. So you get all your memory back. So when you die and go to the higher order, you remember all your past lifetimes. You would remember them all. And then when you're going back down to earth again for reincarnation, you're sent down to earth. Your memory's like clean. You don't remember anything, but your spirit guide knows what you're trying to achieve.
And that's what my spirit guides have told me, that you're in the cocoon and you get reset basically to come back. And
Yeah, like your energy raises. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And he brings up a good point. Perhaps there's a cosmetic translator or a non-point
Cosmic, yeah.
energy, but if you think about how simple a positive neutron and an electron, when they collide, they don't speak the same language, but they come together. So who knows?
The angelic realm in there too. So the angelic realm will run things, and they're not
Mm.
human. They're
Mm.
definitely a different power source. The angels are much bigger. They're older. They're an
Mm.
ancient power being. That's why a lot of times when you see angels or shadow people that are very tall, a lot of those beings are actually angelic because they are the higher order. They're God's military, so they're stronger beings. They're bigger. They're
They
nasty.
operate at a higher frequency than what we're capable of, so that's why they show up in these shadows or bright lights,
And
Yeah.
right?
which is
I have a question for you, Heather. I wanted to know two questions. The first question is shadow people. Okay. Now, I have heard from multiple mediums that say that this is just a way that say that spirit is able to manifest itself, into this realm. Now, is that true, or is shadow people something completely different than what we know of? Because I hear so much different things about this. Like, in your aspect, have you ever dealt with one? And then I'll get to the second question after. But I just wanted to know, what is your take on that?
I think there's different levels of shadow people. So I think that we're not from here, human beings, whatever your belief system is,
Yeah.
this planet where it's been sort of colonized by different beings. I think humans are sort of added on later. But I know that there's ancient beings that have been here longer than people have been here, at least populating the earth, no matter where they came from. So you got those are like the littler shadow people. You got like fairy folk in England. You've got trolls. You've got these in all different cultures. They believe in these little shadow people that are all
Yeah.
over, and they call them different names. Different societies, different backgrounds will call them different things. Same with the shadow people, because then you have all the belief system of the giants that lived here, and they think that those were angels in corporeal shells, or that
So
were.
what about the Hat Man that a lot of people experience?
Yeah, that was something I was going to ask. Was about like negative entities, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Well, the shadow people with that would probably be angels coming to guide you, cross you over. It's because angels are the ones who sort of lead you. They bring your family in when you're crossing, but then those
You know,
reapers,
and
I call them, but they'll
that
come.
that brings up a interesting point, because every photograph, in a lot of my cases that I've seen a black entity in the photograph, somebody passed on not too long after the photograph. So that's why I called them reapers.
That's
Um, yeah, is that they're there to welcome them to the afterlife.
Yep, they're escorts. You can ask them to come in to escort them over into the other realm. So you do ask these beings, not ask, they're around, they know. They call it convening. So they start to convene, they know when someone's going to die. And they'll start to bring family members in. You'll see it like in hospice, things like that, where people are bedridden, where they're crossing over. They'll even say, "Oh, I saw Aunt so and so." They'll start talking about relatives that they've seen, and then they'll also describe the man that's standing by the bed, or they'll describe like a figure,
Right. No, exactly. Yeah.
or even like the guy that pulled me out of the water. Looking back at it now, it was probably
Hmm.
some angelic thing because it was black.
Yeah.
I kept saying to my guides when all this was coming out for me, like when I started digging into all the history and stuff, my guides kept telling me things like, well, angels aren't what people think they are. They think they're like cute little things with wings. And they're like, no, they're actually badasses. They're very tough. And
Right.
they run.
Yeah.
So they're primarily in the realm. They're telepathic. A lot of the same things do. Animals are older than people. So there's a lot of weird stuff with telepathy as well. But they are protectors. Do you know what I mean? There's some angels that protect
Yes.
humans, some that just protect the higher order.
Yes.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's weird that you said about the protectors. They could be in cemeteries, certain things like that. When I was going to a cemetery over here with my uncle, there's a children's section of the cemetery.
Mhm.
Well, the medium I work with, she said to me, "Listen, there's these like dogs that are like what you would see in Egyptian times, and they're there to protect this cemetery. And you need to basically show respect. And if you make loud noise or anything that is going to scare them, they're going to protect the entity that is there, the children that are there, and you won't get any communication." Sadly, we actually did something, dropped out of the truck, made a loud bang before we started, and we got no communication whatsoever. So I totally agree with what you said on that. But changing direction, I want to ask Greystone Manor. I want to ask, this is your place, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, please talk about Greystone Manor for us.
Yeah, my husband and I bought Greystone Manor back in 2017. It's a big old Victorian house. It dates back to 1833. It was a big old fruit farm back in the day. I was living out in the suburbs. So when my husband and I first got married, he's from the country and he wants something bigger with land, and I want something older. So that's why we ended up out in this area. We're about 45 minutes from, I'd say, from like Buffalo, from like Niagara Falls area. So
Yeah.
we're Canadian border as well. But knew nothing about the history here. Didn't know anything about the stuff that had gone on here until we moved in, and then had all kinds of stuff happen. Um, but we did open it up as a B&B. Then we found out later that there are Native American burial mounds on the property, and also nearby there's a couple different burial mounds that are within like a mile of here. There's a big Native American tribe that used to live here back in like 1300. Their fort is about, I don't know, 5-minute drive from here. And in the fort in the 1800s, when they dug up a lot of their burial mounds there, they were finding all these giant skeletons. So there's actually giants that were buried here as well. They're like 8 and 10 foot people with the long heads, the aliens with the bigger, longer heads. So it's like
Yep.
UFO. There's like crazy stuff going on here. And that's all documented. All the skeletons are sent to the Smithsonian. So there's like quite a bit of history here. And then, but anyway, so when we moved in, we had no idea it was haunted. It was abandoned. The house was in foreclosure for like 4.5 years. So when we moved in, we didn't know any of the haunting that had gone on here. We just knew what we were experiencing once we moved in. We were hearing names being called. They were mimicking our voices. We were being touched, scratched a couple times. All sorts of stuff. Footsteps, talking. You know.
So where's this located? Where if you wanted to have somebody come investigate, how could they find you?
If you could go to our website, www.greystonemanor.com. It's GRAE. It's Scottish. So
Yep.
GONE. Just go to that website. It'll say right on there. Our contact info is on there. Usually we're supposed to send us an email, text us, and we'll get back to you. We do open it up to paranormal investigating. That's no problem. You can take pictures, you can film, go live, whatever. Because we love them.
And you pay for the plane tickets from America? I was just messing with you. I said you pay for the plane tickets coming from America?
Only you.
Sure.
Don't mind him. He's shot. He's shot. Anyway, what I was gonna say was
We're not Scottish name.
what was that?
We're not the Scottish name, although we are Scottish.
Oh no, that is awesome.
GRAE.
I tell you what, it's so funny because Robin is in the UK, and I always tell him like how much I want to go over there because
you should go to all these places.
And then all of a sudden, like he's like, all them over in UK are like, no, we want to come to the US, and I'm like, why would you want to come to the US sometimes? I know there's great places, but I want to go to the history over there, where there's fairies and trolls and oh man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Might be Harry Potter behind a tree or something.
Yeah.
Right? But I wanted to ask you, Heather, what was it like working on the shows that you worked on? What was it like working with them?
Oh, it was great. I'm on a show called Kindred Spirits right now.
Yeah.
That's Travel Channel. It's on Discovery Plus. They did do an investigation here about 3 years ago, and at the time, their psychic that they work with, man named Chip Coffey, was having health issues. He couldn't travel, so got here to investigate. When they do these shows, they kick you out of the house for to like a hotel, and then I would come back in the morning, and we would they would talk to us about different things that were going on. Then we'd leave again. So knowing that I was a psychic, they asked if I would help out with some investigating with them. So I did do some EVP sessions. We did seances together. We did all sorts of stuff for the show, for the episode that they did here. But then because we had so much activity and I had so much stuff come up that we were dealing with on the show, they were doing experiments with me. They had me I do psychometry, so I hold items. I'll do seance work where I hold items, and then I get them. So working with that medium, we were doing a seance in the basement. They had this bag in front of me, and they said, "What do you think is in here?" And at the time, I had no idea. The house is known for having there was a horse race track here, and the man was a big gambler, and they were rum runners. So I was joking, saying, "Is it whiskey and cigars in here?" And they're like, "No." And I said, "Well, let me touch the bag. I'm not going to feel it. I just want to put my hands near it." Yeah. So I did that, and I immediately got. I said, "Wow, there's graveyard dirt in here." I said, "There's like burial dirt in here," and then I said there was something else. I said there was it felt like a lot of people, crunched up bones or pieces of people. I'm going, "Oh, what you've got in here?" I said, "But it's two different things." And they were freaked out. They were like, "What the hell?" And I said, "Why? What is in this bag?" And they unzipped the bag. They had gone up back with a shovel, and they took to-go coffee cups, and they dug up into the graveyard. That we found a bunch of tombstones that were covered up, and we uncovered them. So they took shovel and they dug up dirt and put it in one coffee cup, and then they went into the backfield where all the Native American burial mounds are, and they took dirt and put it in the other coffee cup. So that's what was in the coffee cups in the bag. But so they were being really, really funny. They had me do some other experiments with them, and we were getting a lot of really pretty funny positive results. So the next year they asked if they just called me out of the blue and asked if I would be willing to work with them again on an episode as their psychic. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I can help them, because they'll have me come on if they find items. Like say there's a found in a house or a haunted location. They'll just have me hold it and see what I'm getting from it. And then they had me come out last year to do 2 other locations. So it's like the 3rd year I worked with them. So I went to 2 other locations for them. And then if it gets picked up again this year, so knock on wood, if it gets renewed, because travel's been rough. They've been axing shows left and right. So we'll see.
No.
But they said they wanted me to come back and do quite a bit with them next year. So they want me to do a lot more episodes. So yeah.
Well, speaking of which, what was it like working with Nick?
So Nick did a lot of he shot some of his new series at Deathwalker here.
Yeah.
He ended up marrying a friend of mine who's another psychic who's local to me. We used to do a lot of shows and stuff, but so he ended up moving into this area where we live now. So he's sort of in this area.
Wow.
And they used our house for a lot of the Deathwalker reenactments. So if you're ever watching the series Deathwalker,
Yep, I have.
Yeah.
drinking game, you can be like, oh, that's Greystone Manor.
Wow. I never,
They used our local
That's crazy.
and super what a nice guy, awesome guy. We did a he did a public investigation here actually, as a private thing, for fans or whatever. They could come and do an investigation with him, and that was really fun. It was cool to have him investigate here because he was getting quite a bit of stuff. He even said in the basement, he got stuff on his spirit box or spirit phone, you think he called it, that he's
Yeah.
never, like, literally weird guttural voices coming in. And
wow.
the psychic that works with Kindred Spirits, when they did our episode here, he kept saying the same thing. He's like, it's demonic down here, there's demons, there's dark spirits, they're getting all these dark shadow things. So a
Yeah.
lot of interesting stuff. It's been such a weird
I
area.
wanted to ask you now, from your experience, and I know these are your friends, and I don't mean to ask this question, but legitimacy on all the shows you worked on. How legitimate where they do their investigations, where you trust, they're not dramatizing anything. Like, is that something that you would have to say is yes, definitely?
I mean, the shows that I worked on, yeah, I would say I didn't,
Awesome.
the stuff that we saw in Kindred Spirits, even the other shows that I did with them. I mean, I'm right there, and we're hearing footsteps. I'm witnessing this stuff firsthand.
And
That's
see,
awesome.
that's the one thing I tell all the skeptics, all the people that question all my investigations, everything is you weren't there. I mean, you're the only one in this room, and you're hearing stuff happening, or you're hearing voices, or you're seeing stuff go off. You're not there. If you want to be there, go investigate, go do the stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome spirit into your heart.
Yeah, and it's weird too, because when you're actually witnessing these things happen right in front of you, it's very bizarre because you can't explain it. And you know how it is when you're in person. It's a very different experience, and a lot of times it's a lot louder, or some.
Yeah, it's a lot scarier too, because I had my hair pulled while I was wearing my hat. My hair was pulled through my hat. And I was like, what the? I dropped everything. I was like, what the heck was that? I thought it was
Right?
a spider or something that bit me, and there was nothing in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And yeah, for Kindred Spirits, I mean, I would say, it's funny working with that. Even like the EVPs I've caught here at our house, um, I'll play those for you because we caught like a creepy laugh in the basement. We caught this little kid saying "baby" up in the kids' room, but they're not just class A EVPs. They just sound like someone's talking right in the microphone. But that was with my own recorder, and that's with another witness. That's with like another investigator sitting right next to me while we caught it. So those I can say 100%, like, I caught it with my own equipment. That was something I caught.
Are they on your YouTube?
Yes, they are. Hmm.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'll pull it up so we could show everybody if you don't mind.
Sure. I was gonna say I could play it, but it's on my phone.
Yeah, let's see it.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
see
let me
it.
pull it up. Hold on.
There's a couple. The baby one should be on there,
Okay.
and it was on my Facebook page. I definitely put it all on there too.
It's
But
under Greystone, right?
yeah, Greystone.
Yep, just wanted to make sure.
And it looks like Mark says, I hate to intrude, but why is everything almost evil? Everything's not evil. Just like life, there's jerks and there's nice people.
Exactly.
Just in the afterlife, there's going to be jerk spirits that want to make you think that there's something that they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I dealt with this in multiple home investigations, so
Yeah.
I personally can
Yeah.
vouch that I personally don't believe in demons. I do not believe that these things are real. I've never seen one. I think it's all part of the church's stuff. So that's
Yeah.
just me.
And there's lots of the belief systems too, with the angelic guard being here on Earth, and then some not over properly, and some are left over those beings because they're telepathic and they can mess with people. But it's almost like these twisted beings that were left here, and then they're slowly being taken away. So they're not here all the time. They do cross over, but it's almost like they're morphed, these weird beings. But same with, demons are sort of weird when it comes to that. I mean, everything is like you said. Why would a demon go after just a normal regular person? They would go
Yeah.
after who had power or sway. you know, and they're going to be slick too. They're going to be sneaky about it. They're not going to make it obvious.
No, exactly. And all the church's cases, there are all these people that haven't done anything wrong, you know, but that's what all my cases were. Like people that haven't done anything wrong. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time or got the wrong item.
Right.
So
Right.
Now, Heather, I'm trying to find the page because I found it before, but for some reason it's not showing up on the thing. Could you just spell it for me on YouTube again? Because I know I'm spelling it right.
Graestone.
Grae.
Stone.
Yeah.
Manor.
Is it saying one word?
It might be two different words.
Okay. Manor, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. For some reason it's
I
not
do
showing.
that too. I forget if JK-47 is spaced or not.
Well, no. The reason why I ask is because for some reason it's not showing up where I can, go to the page. I don't know why.
Because you're not over 18.
You're so stupid.
You can put in Heather Mattison. Maybe it's under my name for some reason. It shouldn't be, but
Okay.
I mean, YouTube is, if you just put in Grace, usually a lot. And if you go to our website, all the links are on the website.
Oh, let me go to that. Yeah, let me go to that. There we
So
go.
the Greystone Man website, it should say something like, the icon should all be there.
Cool. Thank you.
I'm not a techie person. You're talking to the wrong person.
Oh no,
All right.
listen, I am not either. But
Hey, Mark, I just want to let you know you're not being adversarial at all. We love the challenge. I love being challenged. That was my New Year's resolution as a paranormal investigator, is to be challenged and accept it and try to debunk it the way they see it. In fact, I've become friends with Kenny Biddle at the Center for Inquiry that debunk stuff, and I brought things to his attention that surprises him, and he's brought things to mine that debunk mine. So
yeah,
I'm being more welcoming to it so that I can come up with the better answers for what I capture. So
and not only that, we love people to have different opinions because it makes us our research more because it's something that we can look into. So we appreciate everyone's input. So please, we're not putting anyone down ever because that's not who we are. But Heather, so which thing should I look at?
Oh boy.
Robin, your mic's mute if you're trying to talk.
What do you got for videos then? I can't even see what you're looking at. Does it
Um,
say
it
on there?
should say
I can't unmute your mic, Robin.
EVP Ghost says no when asked if he can come. We have the doll that says creepy marionette at Greystone Manor. Ghost hand reaches out. Green room footsteps. EVP captured at Greystone. You hear a ghost say and then it cuts off.
Those are the only videos on there. There should be one that says something about a laugh. It's gonna be older,
Okay, let me go down there.
and it's gonna be just a picture of like a Tascam recorder.
Oh, okay.
Go back up.
Yep.
Should be a Tascam. That one. No, see the Tascam
Yep.
recorder.
Right here, Greystone Ghost Baby saying baby.
Oh, that's one. That's the baby one I was telling you about.
Okay,
That's
let's play this one quick, and then we'll look
you.
at the other one.
You hear it say baby, and then I repeat it a couple times, and then you hear me talk. The baby's clear, but then I sound broken up like a regular EVP. But I hit record, and that sound is me putting it on the dresser
Wow.
as I hit record your baby. Mm. Baby, baby, baby,
That's pretty clear, man.
baby. Yeah,
The
it's
the one
not.
I got in my basement when I went live on TikTok, it says, "Hey there." That was it wasn't as clear as this one, but that one is pretty clear to me.
Because then
Yeah.
it's play, and then you can hear me talk, and I sound fuzzy like a regular EVP. You know how when you're doing EVPs, sound a little staticky. So the one, it's gonna sort of look like that. the one you just played. It's just a picture of a Tascam.
Okay. Hmm.
Should be on there.
Let's go to popular here.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Thanks, Mark.
Hmm.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah,
Well,
no, that was a great EVP. I agree.
Would it be under shorts, maybe?
could be.
Okay.
It's
Oh, right there. Go
Welcome
saying.
to the podcast, Robin. I can hear you now.
there.
I'm sorry, Heather. This one right here.
I think so. What's it say?
Ghost saying it's been a while,
Nope.
or evil laugh captured in Greystone.
That's it. The evil laugh one.
Okay, check this out, guys.
Do you want me to tell you what it is? What you're
Yep.
hearing?
Hold on, let me just stop it real quick.
Touch my hand. Sit next to me.
Okay, go ahead.
Just so you know what you're listening to, it's a couple stayed with us overnight, only ones in the house, and they want to do some investigating, but they weren't paranormal investigators. So I give people equipment if they want to use it. And everything was lighting up in front of the wife. It was a husband and wife, and she was getting touched. So I started doing some EVPs because she said everything was lighting up in front of her, and she felt like something was on her leg. So the husband makes a joke at that point, and you hear him say the joke. He's got a little bit higher voice, and then you hear this man laugh at his joke. So right after the man says his joke, you hear this ha ha ha, this weird, deep, crazy laugh. And what's weird is we didn't hear it till we played it back. And you actually hear the wife start to ask another question in the middle of the guy laughing. So that's what you're hearing. You're listening for that big, long laugh at the end. Go ahead.
Awesome. Let's hear it.
Can you do that? Can you turn on your light if you want to do that? I think he wants you to take your shirt off. Can you turn on your light,
No
please?
way. That
And
was
touch my
that was a
hand.
spirit?
Yeah.
And touch my hand and sit next to
One
me.
more time.
Can you do that?
Guys
Can you
laugh.
turn on your light if you want to do that?
He goes,
I think he wants you to take your shirt off.
No way, man. That is
Can you
crazy.
turn on your light?
Heather, that is amazing.
That is amazing.
and that's my recorder. So that's my Tascam. So it's not like it's somebody else sent it to me and fiddled with
And
it.
you're recording on your phone. You're recording your recorder recording.
Yeah. Because I'm not techie at all. Obviously.
Yeah.
Not techie.
Wow. That is
Like,
That is crazy.
I can't even use my phone properly.
that is so awesome. There's one more I want to show. It's the one that's right next to it where the baby says something. So let me show this one other one and then we'll get back to talking. But I for some reason have this feeling about this one. But that one was absolutely amazing, Heather. That was so cool.
There's a guy that says, get the hell out, and he's in the green room. That one's really clear too. That was super messed up.
Okay, let's hear this one. Hold on. Let me get to it first before I put it on the screen.
It's the green room one? Which one?
It's the green room, and a man says something like, get the hell out, or get out.
Okay, EVP caught in green room.
Sounds like a typical male, huh?
Is it probably it, I think. Or
Okay, yeah, let me put it on the screen so you could see it. Hold on. The one all the way to the right, EVP caught in the green room while.
I don't know. That could be.
All right, let's play it and see.
Let's play it. Let's play it.
He says, screw you, get out.
Was that recorded on your phone or on the recorder?
Somebody sent it to me, and I recorded it off of my message that was sent to me.
Wow.
But what that is we were doing a seance downstairs. We had a paranormal team here. It was 6 girls, and we were all in the dining room doing a seance. And they had recorders running up in all the bedrooms, and they had the door. And that was in the green room. So when they went and played all the recorders back after we were doing the seance downstairs, they got that. And what you hear is there's a trigger, there's a music box, paranormal music box that triggers, and you hear it sounds like somebody's walking with a limp, almost like they've got a wooden leg or something. But you hear this.
Oh, wow.
you hear the music box trigger. So something's moving around in there. And then you hear the man say, screw you, get out. But people hear fighting all the time upstairs. You hear a man audible, not just recordings. You hear people fighting in the hallway a lot. So something
Wow.
up there that was not.
Look at this
Looks like
comment.
one of our viewers lost their sound.
And
I'm
that's
telling
exactly,
you, you're fucking with us today.
yeah, that's exactly what happened when Heather was trying to sign in. We like lost all sound for her.
I'm
Yeah,
telling
no, she tried on the computer and her phone, and she
I
couldn't get
know.
sound in. They kept muting her.
Well, Heather, my question for you is, that was an amazing, absolutely amazing thing. My question for you is say if someone came up to you, like if I saw you on the street or something, and I was like, hey, would you be able to give me a reading? Do you have that where you could turn it on and off, or do you have that only when you can, get into that space? How does that work for you?
It just depends. I mean, the way I do readings, I like to be able to focus a little bit, want to be quiet. I do readings I tell people to send me just a photo and your first name. I don't want to know anything else about you or where you're from or anything. And then I start to what I'll do is I'll focus and then I just write down whatever I'm feeling, seeing, and I ask your guide to step in. So I ask key things. I ask what you're gifted in, strong suits. I ask health, how you're feeling. Ask what you're worried about. Ask your dad's spirit energy, what you inherit from him. Ask mom's spirit energy, what you're inheriting from her. Ask names that pop up around you. People have crossed over, but then people are important. I ask your spirit guide to step in. Ask them to give me their name so then you can communicate with your spirit guide after. And then I also ask your most recent past life because I want to know what you're doing last lifetime because sometimes it holds over into this lifetime. Sometimes you're dealing with things. But I have had people do that to me before. I had a friend of mine do that to me at work one time where she said her dad had passed away and it was a big busy party. This is years ago. I used to work at the casino years and years ago. We were doing a huge, we used to do events. We used to do all the concerts and stuff. So it was like thousands. And my friend is like, hey, if you hear from my dad, let me know. And she's joking around. And he had just died maybe 2 months earlier. And I'm like, I'm laughing because it's chaos. It's busy. It's like big because we used to work in the event center. So it was always like these
Yeah.
music playing. It's chaos. And
Yep.
I'm laughing like, okay, sure. And then her dad showed up and wouldn't leave. He's like, tell her brother's being an asshole about the inheritance, and he's a Johnny come lately, he's saying, and I'm like, okay. And I didn't know this girl very well. I worked with her, but I didn't know her family.
Yeah.
First of all, I go, do you have a brother? Because your dad is like going on and on about your brother being a jerk. And, she's like, yeah. She's like, he's saying he won't help out. He's not help clearing anything out, but he wants all the money. He's demanding you put the house up for sale. So the dad was just like mad and freaking out and telling me all this stuff. And yeah, it was so weird. But they'll do that. They'll Shanghai me for sure. Like,
Yeah.
because then once you tell me that, then I'm all of a sudden connecting, or that person will jump right in. They'll take the opportunity to pretty much
So,
do that. But it's weird when you're psychic though, because I've had friends do this to people. I had a guy do this to somebody in an elevator once, a lady who was pregnant, and start talking about the baby. And she freaked out. She's like, don't tell me about the baby. I don't know anything about it. Because people, you don't know what their religious background is. Or if you say, your grandfather's here and he wants to talk to you, but maybe he molested her when she was little. You don't know. You don't know what the So
Exactly. Yeah.
you
You don't know how touchy it is. Yeah.
have to be wicked careful
so,
about
so
your.
Heather, Mark Foster asked if you see the spirits or is it that you hear them?
Both. Because I always ask them to just, don't be rude. Don't just jump in front of me, but try and almost like introduce yourself, like say, warn me that you're around. And then I'll ask, please show yourself to me. Because then I'll write description of who I'm seeing. So that way I know I'm dealing with the right person. And then I'll take it in my notes, like say, hey, your grandmother's here, but this is what she's looking like to me. This is how this is how she's appearing. So then I'll ask them to come in, and then I will see things too. If I'll go to certain locations, or I'll give permission for them to show me things, and then sometimes I'll just see things. Well, I went to an
So
insane
can can you see people's spirit guides? Like, do you see them or do you hear them?
I hear them primarily first. Sometimes I'll ask if they can show themselves to me. I can see them, but
Well, if I ask my spirit guides to show themselves, would you be able to see them or hear them? I guess.
both. I would ask them to show themselves first.
Would you mind?
Hold on. I'm asking. Not to be hokey. I don't want this to sound like hokey, but what Native American, just so you know, or he
Yeah.
in a past life. So he's more holistic and tries to calm your energy a lot. Try,
Yes.
tries to make you be more, I guess, holistic, or Earth's energy tries to ground you a lot. Because I
He
think,
tries to learn my patience. He tries to make me patient. Is
right.
what I've learned.
Yeah, yeah. Mostly trying to rein you in a little bit, but more like, okay, let's go hunting, let's go outside, let's go out into the wilderness for a little bit because you need to reground. So he's always trying to bring spiritualists, and you're always more materialistic with things. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's the
Yeah. Yeah.
battle that you deal with him a lot. Like he tries to rein you in, but you're sort of doing your own thing a lot because you're an independent person. So it's tricky with that. But
What
that's
about
and
what
it's
about the other one?
you've got angels on you as well, that guard as well. So a lot of people, when they are dealing with paranormal, they themselves are psychic. If you're sensitive, if you have any kind of empath, intuitive, they'll usually have angels guarding you as well. So for the most part, I'm seeing this strong. You may even feel like you're pushed around a little bit because you do have this angelic guard on you as well, or almost like you're in trouble. Like sometimes you'll do things where you're like, oh man, I'm going to get in trouble. Almost like your parents are behind you. Like
Right. So let me introduce you to my spirit guides. I had a reading before, and I gotta say that you're spot on.
okay.
You are spot on.
Yep.
So the psychic that did it for me before said that Christina, she's the angelic one.
Okay.
She saw her with the shield and the sword. She was the one that helped me through Iraq and basically my whole midlife because I'm just a monster.
Right. Like,
You know.
yeah.
And then the wiser one that you're speaking of, the Hispanic one, she saw it as a man in was tall with a dark hat on, kind of his name was Santos.
Okay.
So the fact that you had Hispanic descent with that name, that I didn't say, it's amazing. Thank you.
Did you have an injury? What was going on with that? Did you get hurt while you were over there?
Um,
Like a pretty serious one?
I would say more my brain than
Yeah.
anything else.
Okay, only because it was almost like that's when they started to show up and really
Yes.
protect.
Yes. Once that first bullet passed by my head,
Yeah.
I was scared beyond belief, and I just went into this weird place.
Hmm. Yeah, because I definitely feel like there was a changeover. Like something weird happened, almost like a near-death experience. Really, I think it's sort of something weird happened because they were describing military. I saw that around you, and then that you weren't the same. So there was like a change, and it might even be like PTSD or whatever's going on with this. But it was almost
Yeah.
like,
It's PTSD. I'll
yeah.
tell you that right now. Yeah.
But it's hard for you to like separate from it. Sometimes it'll just come up out of nowhere. Certain things will trigger it. You'll have to like. I think that's why they try and get you into green space, like get you away from whatever's bothering you. You know, like sort of get you
So
out.
so this is the thing that I'm feeling now. I developed kind of a empath ability, and now around when I see actual people and objects, I see a kind of like a static screen, like you remember in the 80s when the TVs would go silent and it was
Yeah.
snow. Like I see that around objects and people now.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Could be just being able to see their aura. You're seeing their energy fields.
You were just saying that, John. You were just saying
Yeah,
that. You
I,
know,
I, I, it's the first time it happened. It started about a week ago, so I'm kind of nervous about it, because I go on investigations and stuff, and it's never happened before. But now everything that I look at, like around the outer shape of the object, like I'll see like that static around it.
Hmm. All right.
Well,
And does it change color,
oh,
or is
sorry. No, sorry, Heather. Go ahead. Sorry.
I wonder if it changed colors or if it was white always.
No, it's black and white. It's just like the static.
Okay.
It's really weird. I don't know if I need glasses or if it's something physical, but I've never heard of that. So
Well, if you have an astigmatism, it will mess up physically. Like if your eyes are damaged or something, it will cause halos and things around things with your vision. And
Yeah,
that's
he's never had that before, so I'm wondering if it is spiritual because he's never said anything about this before, and I've known him for a little bit. So it's just a little weird ever since he started growing, his abilities and stuff like that. One question I wanted to ask you before I ask you the question, though, you brought up how a near death experience and stuff earlier, and I actually had a near death experience. I passed away 12 times, and the last time that I passed away, I was addicted to drugs, opiates, and I overdosed. And the last time I did, I remember standing and watching my body as these paramedics were working on me. But it was weird. It was like I could be over their shoulder, where I was standing. I could be like listening to their thoughts on any side of them, all simultaneously at once. And then I got sucked up into like what I call a tube, this blackness tube, and I watched from the beginning of time, not to just my life, but from the beginning of time to where I passed away. And then it opened up into this beautiful place. And then I had this being approach me full of bright light, and it just said, "It's not your time." And before I could say anything, I was sucked back down the tube, and they hit me with the paddles, and I sat up wondering where I was.
Mhm.
And ever since then, I've had like this ability to feel energy, feel things around me, and uh,
empathy, yeah.
yeah, and have this amazing spirit box communication now where I have this connection.
Yep.
But what I wanted to ask you is there anything you can give our viewers and ourselves a way to enhance our abilities? Is there anything that you could
Like,
do?
yeah, that first step. What can we do to get that first step and then the next?
Well, for me, I'm an auto writer and channeler, and the best thing to do for me when I started to practice, because what you want to do is you want to train your brain to hear the thoughts that you're being given. So you're practicing your telepathy, basically. So you're trying to practice that you can hear the beings that are around you
Hmm,
here. So you're trying to really enhance your clairaudient audience. Okay. So right off the bat, I would say use pendulums, use divining rods, anything that's not
What
electronic.
about frequencies? Is there a certain frequency on a binaural beat or like a certain frequency that you would use? Like Tibetan monks use the bowls that emanate a frequency. Is
Right.
there a certain frequency that you would suggest?
Not a frequency. For me, no. I just did it where I would. I know it sounds weird, but you can just sort of ask them to write things down. It's almost like auto writing. You're just sort of journaling. You're just sort of writing, and
Or
sometimes
channeling?
channeling. Right? They start channeling through
Yeah.
you. And then what I was doing though to start all that was I would have a pendulum, and if you get a pendulum board with letters on it,
yeah,
you even write it yourself. Just write them in arcs, the alphabet, and say, "Can you give me the first letter of your name or whatever it is?" Ask them questions. What's your favorite color? And then see if the pendulum will go to different letters and say it's green, and it goes to G, and you're like, okay, it's probably green. But then you'll start hearing before they start to spell it. You'll start hearing green. I know it sounds like baby steps, but your
no,
your
yeah,
brain.
No, this is a way to grow your responses. Yeah.
And then ask weird questions like, what's your favorite city? And then you wouldn't know what their favorite city is, and they start to spell a city, and it could be anything. It could be Nashville, it could be New York if it's
yeah,
N. But then you're listening to see if you can hear it before they finish spelling it. So you're training your brain slowly, and that's all your own energy. It's not anything electronic. It's just your own energy moving the. I don't know if you ever use pendulums or divining rods, but you're literally holding it, moving on
yeah.
its but divining rods, same. So they can answer yes or no questions. Just cross for yes, off the sides for no. Who's here? Are you male, female? And then before they even answer, you'll even hear yes, or you'll hear them answer. So that's a good way to sort of train that, because you really want to bring up that clairaudient first, because they'll be talking to you. That's
So
easiest for them.
let me ask you this. So I heard that you have to have your socks off everything. It has to be pure contact to the earth. Do you agree with that, or
It just depends. I mean, I don't at this point, just because they're really obnoxious with me, my guides, because I've been doing this for a long, long, long 30 years, right?
Yeah.
right?
Pretty
They're like, dang it, Heather, listen.
they yell at me all the time. They're like, no, that's not what we're talking about. And
Yeah.
they're really patient. They're like, all right, because I'll question all the time, like, why is this happening? Why is this? And like, well, no, it's because of this. I'm like, okay, all right. So yeah, no, I don't know. I would say grounding helps though. I guess I teach classes in pendulums. I teach classes in like Oracle Earth Magic cards with her. They're sort of like here they're these. They're sort of like tarot cards, but they're all earth energy. So these
Yeah.
cards are all different seasons, climates, weather patterns. I like them a lot better because they're season based, so that gives you time of year. But this will also train your brain as well. You're asking for, when things are going to happen, change cards, things like that. So I like working with physical things like that, cards,
I like
pendulums,
that.
just to start out with, just to
Yeah.
start with items, you know.
Absolutely. No, that thank you so much for sharing all that
Yeah. Oh,
information.
thank
Question,
you.
would you come on again? Because there's so much more I'd love to learn from you. But one of the questions I'd ask was, is your lessons where you teach, they're right on your website, correct?
Yep, they're on the website. Yeah,
Okay.
you under I think it's right under classes. And then I
Okay.
do I've written 3 books. The first 2 books are called Letters to Olivia, If You Could Hear What I Hear, and Past, Present, Future Days. And those first 2 books are all about me being a psychic, channeling messages I'm getting from my guides, like how I started to really become a psychic and how they worked with me and what they were telling me. And it's really funny when it comes to messages from the higher order, because a lot of times, and I'm not religious, I don't come from that background, and they're talking
Yeah.
about gods, and I'm like, well, that's not really my thing. And they're like, well, they exist. And they're like, well, it's just terms we're using with you because you would understand if we said
Well,
angel.
yeah, I think as long as you believe in that higher source, that you'll have that connection, correct?
And yeah, it's the same. Like, a friend of mine's Native American. Like she said, a lot of the stuff you're writing is our culture as well. You're just using different terminology. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
where I happen to be from, where I was born into this lifetime. That's how I. And then the second book was all about people who I just asked people who read the first book or knew me as psychic or anything they wanted to ask questions about. So reincarnation, EVP, what happens when you die? What's your life review like? What are your spiritual gifts? What are people gifted with? Why are they gifted?
Yeah.
All different things. That's the second book was more that, like, a friend of mine's really into UFOs. Like, what are crop circles? Do
Yeah.
UFOs? What are they? So, and I would ask my guides, okay, they're asking about this. What do you think? And they would write it all out. And it's hilarious because you've talked to me already now today for a little while. The book is not written by me. Those first 2 books are not me at all. The verbiage is just not the way I speak. I had to actually stop them and look up words sometimes because they would write down words that I didn't understand. I'm not totally ignorant but there are certain words that I
Yeah,
just.
you want to make sure it has the same meaning as what you're
Yeah.
trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
They would laugh and be like, okay, look it up. And I'd be like, oh my
Yeah.
God, great word. It fits perfectly in there. And they're just laughing at me like, well, yeah. So, and then the third
It's
book,
crazy.
based on manor, is just all the haunting and stuff that happened here, the history and all the different families that lived here and all their paranormal experiences here. And I got together with all the different families and fascinating. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. You described something like Abraham Hicks, where she doesn't, she channels and doesn't, remember what she's saying until after because they have to
Until
record
after.
it. So
Yeah.
I totally believe in channeling. I totally believe in all of that. And I look forward to getting one of your books and reading it because next time I speak with you, I want to see I want to see if I could see the difference in the verbiage to, how we spoke today and stuff. So I'm
It,
so pumped. I look forward to you coming on again, and I thank you so much. It was an honor to have you on.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm glad we could finally connect. I know we had with your emails being sent to
Right.
like.
No, we'll promote you.
Yep.
She's legit. Everything, man.
Yep.
I can't thank you enough, Heather. Thank you.
It's been really fun.
Hey, before you go, I'm going to make it full screen. Please shout out all of the places where they could find you and anything that you have coming up that you could share.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook. We're on Twitter, all under Greystone Manor. Just check those pages out. Heather Mattison, you can find my pages on there too. So greystonemanor.com is probably the best place because everything's sort of on there. We post everything on there. Facebook, just go into Greystone Manor or Heather Mattison. So that's my page, my psychic page, but we'll post everything on there as well. As far as up, we try and do one monthly public event with our paranormal team that we bring in, and they'll investigate with you. So that's going to start coming up, I believe, or the first one's going to be in May. So we start all summer. We do about one a month, and they can come on and join us and investigate here because it's crazy.
No, thank you, Heather. This
Yeah.
was awesome, man. I can't thank you enough for everything.
Yeah. Thank you so
Oh,
much. I will be. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, never mind. He was holding his phone up. I wasn't sure. He's saying bye.
Yeah, his mic's muted. I don't know what the heck's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Unmute
Maybe you
it.
can't unmute
He's
it.
been silent the whole show. I was like, "Where's Robin's
Oh.
voice?"
No, you want to know what? He can't unmute. We're having the same problem we had with Heather. It won't unmute him. Wow.
Weird.
His
Wow.
phone. He's pointing to his phone, saying,
Yeah.
"It's you. It's you, AJ."
It's not
You're
me.
the
It won't let me undo. But anyway.
They're messing with us, but that's what they do. Telling
Yeah.
you so many weird
Robin,
things.
Julie.
Right,
She
it's
wants you to be quiet.
There's so much weird stuff that
I know. Well, Heather, I'm going to be in contact with you over emails, but thank you so much. I wish you so much success, and I can't wait for you to come on again. Thank you. It was honestly an honor. Seriously.
Thanks, guys. It was really fun. Thanks so much.
Care.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Heather.
Bye. Wow, guys, even though Robin can't talk because he's muted, and I don't know why he's muted, to be honest, because I've unmuted you 40 times and it won't unmute.
It's your fault.
Here, hold on. Here's some sign language. I'll sign language. Ready? I'm sorry, I had to.
Robin,
Anyway, dude, today was an amazing show. I mean, John, what'd you think, man? She was amazing. I love Heather. She's awesome.
I tested her. She hit my guide spot on. You know who Christina is. You know who Santos is.
Yep.
He died in the 80s in Texas. He's my spirit guide now. And Christina's an angelic. That's what Sam said. So,
yep.
Dude, she was spot on, man.
Yeah.
I can't deny anything she said. As far as the beliefs, as far as looking towards the light and having an option of staying on Earth or going somewhere else, I gotta believe, dude.
Yeah. No, man. I tell you what, man. I wanted to keep going, but I just didn't know how long everyone had. So I wanted to end it at our normal time. But I'm gonna schedule another time for her to come on, and I can't see it, Robin. I can't see it.
I can't see your phone.
I can't see it. I'll check it when I'm done.
Texas. Check your phone, maybe.
I will, but I'll check it.
That's what he's saying. Check your phone. He gave me a thumbs up your ass. Check your phone, you jerk.
Okay. Anyway, well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and Talking with the Source. It's been another episode. Just want to say, John, shout your stuff out quick before we head out.
All right. If you don't know me by now, name's JK47 Paranormal. Been out for 3 years now. You can check out my shit on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, wherever. It's nothing but reels. So, love you guys.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this has been Talking with the Source.